episode of Coffee and Careers with me, Gail Angus, and my colleague David Levinson, the Careers Managers for the Adam Smith Business School. So David, in today's episode, we're going to be tackling the question of how do you make the most of a gap year? So for those students who are just about to graduate and are thinking perhaps, they've had enough of exams, they want to take a little bit of time out, perhaps they're going to go do a little bit of travelling, perhaps they're going to go teach English in Japan, or just really take a little bit of time out from studying. So how do people prepare for a gap year, and what do they do to make the most of that as well?
Yeah, I think preparing is a key starting point. For a lot of people that have good intentions and they think they would love to do a gap year, as you said, having spent years maybe studying, and it's a good opportunity to do that. Quite often we hear that the main reason why it doesn't happen is a bit of a lack of preparation. So, coming to look at it at the last minute is probably not the right approach. If you do that, the chances are you could travel, but maybe not have something that productive to do.
So some of those things that I would consider when you're thinking about that preparation is thinking about budget, the length of time that you have to go as well, and what you actually want to get out of that experience. So for some of you, it is just maybe that you want to travel and see places. For others, perhaps you want to do some volunteering or working as well. So really consider, first of all, what it is that you actually want to get out of your experience as well, and that will help you choose the right opportunity for you. Yeah,
and for some people, that's maybe looking at providers that are out there. There are so many really well-established organisations, companies that help you to find internships or volunteering opportunities wherever you are that want to go to in the world. That's not for everyone. Some people make it happen themselves, use their own network, their own contacts. Use LinkedIn, try to find people who might be able to help them to find opportunities when they get to where they want to travel. But whichever feels right for you, I think doing your research first, as you say, looking at the budget, knowing what you've got available, looking at your timing, doing your research, then seeing who's out there that might be able to help you is a starting point.
Taking some time out and doing a gap year after you've finished your studies and actually going abroad can be a positive experience. So employers are looking for people with a global outlook. So actually travelling internationally and having some global experience on your CV can be a really positive thing. For some of you, you may actually do that during your studies. So your summer break is quite long, so you might actually be able to fit some summer experiences in. And you can have a look at the global opportunities that are available at the University of Glasgow as well. We have, of course, study abroad experiences and short experiences internationally too. And we'll pop a link in the description below so that you can go have a look at some of those opportunities as well. So the next thing I guess I would think about is how might an international experience look to an employer on a resume when someone actually returns, and how do they make sure that they make the most of that experience so that when they are returning back home again, that they're able to sell that experience to an employer?
Yeah, I think that's key. And as you said, even just being aware of that from the start is a starting point, rather than thinking, okay, when I've come back, I now need to start addressing how do I make the most of this on my CV. You absolutely can, but like everything on a CV, I think it's down to the person to do a bit of self-marketing and think, what are those experiences that are, interesting to prospective employers? What does it say about you? And actually traveling and organizing your own perhaps work experience or volunteering overseas does say a lot. It says a lot about problem solving, independence, showing initiative, learning about cultures. There's so many things that are transferable, but if you can think that through in advance, and then start to really think about making the most of your experiences on your CV later. Do that up front rather than sort of trying to do it retrospectively. And there's so much that does stand out in an international travel and a gap year.
Yeah. One piece of advice I would give you is when you are actually kind of doing stuff and you're traveling is do keep some sort of record of it, because quite often when you're having those experiences, you do so many amazing things that you actually forget at the end of that time. So do keep a diary or keep a log or a blog of what you're actually doing during your time. Even something as simple as actually if you are working abroad, just keep your LinkedIn profile up to date so that when it comes time to doing those applications, that you don't forget some of those experiences that you've had and some of those amazing things that you've kind of done. And try and keep like quantifiable information of things that you're doing as well. So say, for example, that you're doing some volunteering and you're working on a conservation project, like, what specifically did you do? What kind of outcomes did you have? Like keeping a record of those sorts of things are going to really help when it comes time to actually selling that experience too.
Yeah, and I think like everything else, people shouldn't assume that just having that international experience sells itself, and that an employer looking at that on someone's CV will say, I prefer that candidate over someone that doesn't have that. it can be really impressive and it can make you stand out, but you have to work at that and show the evidence as to what you did. And also, there is a big difference between a gap year where someone doesn't do very much and someone that really can fit in some incredible things. So, you know, not everyone's going to change the world in their gap year, but I think doing something really productive as well as just having fun and relaxing is what makes the difference and really makes a CV stand out.
Another good thing could be to do is actually keep up to date with your industry while you're away as well. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to read the Financial Times every day on your gap year, but perhaps just following some companies on Twitter that you're interested in, or other social channels as well, will just help you to keep up to date with actually what's going on. Even just get involved in the local area and seeing actually what's happening in your industry internationally too could be interesting when you come back and actually speak to employers as well.
Yeah.
So thanks very much for joining us today on another episode of Coffee and Careers. If you haven't already, then please give us a like, comment and subscribe, and we hope to see you again next time.